I think we had our first episode of AEW Dynamite that did not feature a new wrestler coming in, unless you count Paige Van Zant's husband, which I'm not sure we do. So if we don't count him, then I think we first had our first episode of AEW Dynamite that didn't feature a new wrestler debuting. Very, very interesting. Welcome to 3COMentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. So, before we talk about AEW, I want to do some news and notes. Of course, the kind of, sort of big news is that Joey Janella will not be re-signing. According to, what is that girl, Salcido? Daniela, something, whatever. She works with Fightful. Apparently, he did a podcast with her and said that he will not be re-signing to AEW. And he is not interested in re-signing a per appearance fee or per appearance, and he wants to go back on the independents and do that. Of course, this comes after weeks and weeks of him flip flopping from him about whether he was going to resign or not. And then, but I ultimately don't think he had a choice. I don't think he had a choice, if we're being honest. Joey Janela was one of the many talents during the early days of AEW that everybody swore up and down was going to become a TV star when everybody else was yelling about how bad he sucks. He joins Marco Stunt, Big Swole, and several others in the absolute dustbin of AEW history. Deservedly so. He is absolutely trash. Even in GCW, he's absolutely trash. Now, he did say something that was very interesting, in so much as what's been going on with him in AEW. So he said he was on Dark for a long time doing the thing with Sonny Kiss, and they were talking about bringing him back up to TV. Then he did a super kick on Eddie Kingston, and he busted Eddie Kingston's orbital bone. And the kind of word floated through backstage that he was kind of reckless and that he wasn't a safe worker. And that kind of killed his TV push. So he wasn't brought back to TV after that. And then he says that AEW just has a knack of not talking to you anymore. That they did it to Marco Stunt. Apparently they did it to Chavo Guerrero as well, where they just go radio silent and you don't hear from them anymore. And I found that to be very interesting. Is it that Tony Khan tries to avoid conflict and, conflict like that? I mean, we know he said what he said about Big Swole. He tries to, shake things up with WWE a little bit, but that's just him, when he's in complete control. In these situations, it seems like he tries to avoid having conflicts with people who are on the roster already. So I think Joey Janela's contract actually is up in May, and he's not going to come back to TV, but he's also not going to be released early from that contract. Very strange. And you have to ask yourself the question, apparently AEW is still paying him. They would have to, right? So why would Tony Khan keep this guy under contract when he says that he's not going to resign, and you have no interest in using him on TV, and he wants to go back on the independents and do independent things? And it seems like that was pretty smart on his behalf. He went on AEW TV. He became a little bit more famous. Now, granted, a lot of the people who watched Dynamite were watching him on GCW and stuff like that anyway, but for those who wasn't, he became a little bit more famous, and now his name is a little bit bigger. He can go back on the independent and actually start charging more money. It's smart on his behalf. He also got in better shape, and I will always give him credit for getting in better shape. But I'm very interested in why Tony Khan would let this contract lapse rather than just firing this guy. And I'm also interested in why wouldn't he just tell the guy that's the situation, is that, you kind of have a reputation for being a little bit sloppy, a little bit careless. See, the thing is, if you tell people the truth, it allows them to tighten up. It allows them to get better. If you tell people the truth, they get better. If you say, look, you busted Eddie Kingston's face right before he was getting ready to get into this feud with Chris Jericho, you're trying to screw up with our money. You need to tighten up. You need to get it together. All this, I'm an indie wrestler, all that garbage. Nah, man, you need to tighten up. We're dealing with money on the line here. This isn't one-shot weekend warrior stuff. You need to tighten up. then he maybe would have gotten a little bit better. I still would have fired him because he was trash. And, I probably would never have hired him in the first place, to be quite honest. Now, but I understand why Tony Khan hired him. He hired him because he was a guy on the independents who had a lot of buzz. Of course, Joey Janella also claims that he was not hired because he was friends with the Young Bucks. He said he only met the Young Bucks twice. But, you can be people's friends and never only meet them in person 1 or 2 times. You can be friend of a friend. You can be somebody who was suggested to them, or something to that effect. Or it could just be that he was a guy who had some buzz on the independents, and AEW thought, we're going to build an independent-minded promotion. We got to sign one of the biggest guys on the independents, which included him. No matter whether I think he sucks or not, he was one of the bigger guys on the independents, so they signed him. So this is a mess. This is very weird. Same with the AEW contract stuff. They're not using Brian Cage, and yet they seem to recognized their option on him and extended his contract for another year. And I'm like, what's going on? Why would he do that? Apparently there's some kind of plan that is in place for his return to TV. And the only thing I can think of is, now that Wardlow is on his own and he's feuding with MJF, that he may be MJF's new bodyguard. And that's just going to be my guess. I don't have any inside information. I don't got no scoops. I don't got no source. I'm just looking at things and saying to myself, MJF probably shouldn't be by himself. And the best option that you could have with MJF is to put him with another big guy. And what other big guy could you put him with but Brian Cage? It just seemed like it would make more sense. But still, having the guy off TV for several months and near the end of his contract deciding that we're going to extend it just seems weird. Just seems weird. Like, why do we want this guy? We're not going to do anything with him. What's the point? I doubt he's being repackaged and, brought in as somebody different or something different, but I don't know, man. So that's 2 of the things. And that's pretty much it for news and notes that I can think of. I don't think I saw anything else that is really important to discuss when it comes to AEW. All right, so let's get into Dynamite. We start the show with Adam Cole and Red Dragon defeating Hangman Page and the Jurassic Express, as Adam Cole defeats Jungle Boy with the running knee strike to the head. This is exactly what you thought it would be with these guys being involved. It was typical, quote-unquote, trios match where guys just run in the ring and do everything that they could possibly do. At one point, there was a triple moonsault, choreographed stereo triple moonsault by Jurassic Express and Hangman. There was a double doomsday device by Jungle Boy, where I think both Hangman and Luchasaurus had a member, I believe, of Red Dragon on their shoulders, and he did a springboard off the ropes. It actually looked pretty clean. It was a wild spot. Of course, it wasn't the finish because, that's never the finish. It's amazing how you do triple moonsaults. You leap all over everybody. Luchasaurus is choke slamming people on their own rib cage. All kind of stuff is going on. And the finish, a running knee to the head. Indie-rific. Very indie-rific. Adam Cole, I guess he's back in the title picture. I don't know. I don't see why that would put him back in the title picture. He beat Jungle Boy. So maybe Red Dragon should have beat Jungle Boy, well, like Kyle O'Reilly or something. Then maybe they could have, talked themselves into a title match. But then again, Adam Cole needed to win. But then he should have pinned Hangman. That way, visually, we could have seen that they're going back to that. But whatever. Keith Lee, Hobbs, and Starks are backstage. They had agreed to no physicality backstage. Starks gets in Keith Lee's face and says that he told Keith Lee not to come to Rampage, and since he did, they whooped his ass. Hobbs taught him all about that spine buster, and then told him if he comes to Rampage again, it's going to happen again. Keith Lee says, it's going to happen again, will it? Like when I punched you in the face and you cried like a bitch. I see you Friday. And he walked away, and I was like, you know what, Mr. Booker of the Year, Promoter of the Year, Writer of the Year, Creative Director of the Year, Tony Khan. Sir, if I may, I'm less than whelmed when it comes to this Keith Lee experiment in AEW. I don't like it. All right. This is week 4. I don't like this. Now, I know we're trying to build to Keith Lee versus Ricky Starks or Keith Lee versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Okay, I get that. But him just standing there and being told off by Ricky Starks is not my favorite thing. Him wrestling randos on Rampage, not my favorite thing. But they did actually try to do some storyline stuff here, as Keith Lee is going to be wrestling Platinum Max Caster of The Acclaimed. So The Acclaimed is cutting promo later. Max Caster is calling himself a soldier, a no-limit soldier. I'm like, damn, is it 1999 still? Like, you got the Hardy Boys with the Hardy Boy theme. Now we got this guy calling himself a no-limit soldier. I mean, shit, am I back in high school? Like, what's going on here? The other guy, the gay one in The Acclaimed, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head right at this moment, called Keith Lee Cleveland Jr., like from the Cleveland show. Oh, this is the part where we all supposed to laugh. Anyway, Starks and Hobbs approached them and gave them a mission, told them that all of these new guys are coming into the company, still in their opportunity, still in their shine, still in their spot. It's up to The Acclaimed to put Keith Lee down. Then Swerve showed up and says, like, oh, still in your spot, like how I was the main event of Rampage. Like, you know, that's like being the prettiest girl at the prom with no date. Who cares if you were the main event of Rampage? It's the least watched wrestling show of the week, next to Impact, of course. It seems like they're trying to create this AEW originals versus AEW new guys kind of thing, and I'm not sure if that'll work. I'm not sure if I like that. And it seems beneath Keith Lee and Swerve. I mean, it's something. It's something to get them started, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm less than enthused by Keith Lee's introduction into AEW. He had this big heroes welcome onto the show, and now it's just been backstage interviews and Rampage stuff ever since. And I don't like it. Not a big fan of it. All right. So there was a short, maybe 6 or 8 second Chris Statlander vignette where she was removing her makeup and taking out her her contacts. As apparently she's moving away from being an alien. I'm very interested by that because I don't know that much about this chick. So her dropping the gimmick, I'm actually interested in what it becomes. Now, to be quite honest, it seemed like if she was a boring alien, I wonder how she is as a regular person, because she was a pretty boring alien. But I don't know, man. We'll get there. Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley defeated Wheeler Yuta and Chuck Taylor with the Bulldog choke on Wheeler Yuta. This match was far too long. It was far too long. William Regal was on commentary. He had some nice quips. He kept referring to Excalibur as the man behind the mask. And he thanked Jim Ross for all the wonderful things that he did for him as well, and said that Excalibur did nothing for him. He also said that he hoped that after he slapped the both of them, Moxley and Danielson, that they would haul up and punch him in the face. Punch him in the mouth. That's what he was hoping for, but he settled for what they actually did. After Wheeler Yuta was choked out, he left the ring with the best friends, and they all ran off like beaten, well-whipped pups. Then he stopped halfway up the ramp, turned around, and came back. The best friends were like, wait a minute, what's going on, man? What are you doing? Wheeler Yuta, what are you doing? You can't do that. You can't go. You're going the wrong way. He's like, no. I need to go and see about this. He goes in the ring, and he actually offers his hand to William Regal. And William Regal kind of looks around, and then he smacks him. Wheeler Yuta fires up. He comes nose to nose with Regal, and Regal backs down a little bit. Then he tells Wheeler Yuta he better get on before things get a little too dangerous for him. Tell him to get out of here. And Wheeler Yuta eventually back down and leaves. But I like this. Wheeler Yuta was one of the names that Bryan Danielson mentioned as a guy he wanted to mentor. Wheeler Yuta knows that, and he was impressed by this team, this trio of legends here we got here. Legend being in quotations for Jon Moxley. He's not quite there yet. He's getting there though. And we got Wheeler Yuta wants to be a part of it, but he was denied. And he also showed fire when William Regal slapped him, but he didn't go as far as William Regal wanted him to go. He saw he was outnumbered. He backed down. I'm especially interested in how we write him with the best friends from now on. Like, he kind of left them behind and tried to join this triumvirate of here. Or was it just he was just showing respect? Could that have been the issue? That, well, he wasn't really trying to lead the best friends. He was just trying to show some respect. It can make this very interesting for what he's doing. So I like this. I like this. It's a good storytelling device, but this match was entirely too long. I got why the match was so long, because they wanted to show off Wheeler Yuta. But, I mean, the guy has got the charisma of a tub of toothpaste. There's just nothing you can do with this guy. You know, like, I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe there's something there that I don't see and that they see because they know him. Maybe they know him backstage and he's, you know, a Madcap Moss joke cracking guy and he's got all this charisma, but then when he's in front of the TV, it's just trapped inside of him. I've heard that happens a lot to wrestlers. Maybe that's the case. And, you know, maybe a good run with these guys can help him out. But Wheeler Yuta, as I see him, he's just a boring ass mechanic dude. And not interested, but whatever. I still like the story element, though. FTR backstage said that they fired Tully because he lost his focus. That when he won, he was focused on winning the tag team titles, and then when they won them, everything was good. When they lost, however, Tully got distracted. And then he says, if you lose focus, you lose your job. Which is very strange considering this is the inverse of what actually occurred. Tully Blanchard was the one telling them to focus on the tag team titles, that they were talking about their family. And Tully's like, screw your family. You should be trying to be the tag team champions. That's exactly what occurred. So now we're being told Tully wasn't focused on championships. He wasn't focused. No, that didn't happen. The Young Bucks appeared. They made fun of the FTR, how they dressed, and said they'll always be the second best tag team. I don't think anybody cares, though. I don't think FTR cares. I don't think anybody cares about this. Jericho. So Jericho is here with the Jericho Appreciation Society. And Fat 2.0 guy says that if it was up to him, there would be no Judas, because Jericho allows them to sing that song and they like singing it. Skinny 2.0 guy says that Jericho deserves to be praised for who he is as a wrestler and who he is as a human being. Jericho then cuts a promo by saying that for 30 years, people have lived vicariously through him, and the earth has been around for billions and billions of years, and you're lucky enough to be around in the Chris Jericho era. Then he says that he has made companies. He made AEW, no Jericho, no AEW, and that everybody was welcome. But the fans don't appreciate him. The roster of AEW doesn't appreciate him. The Inner Circle and Eddie Kingston, none of them appreciate him. But these men do, and they appreciate one another. Then he says the famous words: the rest of the AEW are just pro wrestlers. And pro wrestlers aren't stars. Pro wrestlers aren't millionaires. I am a sports entertainer. And the boos just wash in. I am a sports entertainer. Then Daniel Garcia gets the microphone. He squeezed out some little bit of charisma. I think he probably turned his whole face red trying to get out something. And says that if Chris Jericho is a sports entertainer, then he's a sports entertainer too. Then 2.0, Jericho says that 2.0 is a stupid name. It came from bad creative and you'll never hear it again. Saying that in the Jericho Appreciation Society, we use our real names. Chris Jericho, then he said the real names of the 2.0 guys. I don't care enough about them to write their names down, and I don't think anybody else does either. Then Chris Jericho, I fully believe his name is Chris Jericho, by the way. I know it's not, but this is like a, Bruce Wayne Batman kind of thing. It's like Ric Flair and Ric Flair. Jericho has been living the gimmick for so long. I believe he truly believes that his name is Chris Jericho. Like Bruce Wayne thinks he really is Batman. And under the lasso of truth, when asked, what is your real name? He said, Batman. It was not a lie. I think if you ask Chris Jericho with a gun to his head, what is your name? He would say Chris Jericho. I believe it. I think he just uses Chris Irvin or Irvine or whatever, how you ever pronounce it, as sort of a backstage persona. I think that's when he really is, playing a character. I think he really is Chris Jericho. He talked about Jake Hager, and Jake Hager, my God, bro. Oh man. Daffy Hager. Fucking hilarious. Oh, he said that Jake Hager was the only man he could trust. Saved his life in Dubai. He's the right hand of God. And says that, or right hand of the king or something like that. And then he told Daffy Hager to say who they are and what they do. And Jake Hager, Daffy Hager himself, with the Jericho Appreciation Society, and we beat up pro wrestlers. Rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, rabbit season. This Daffy motherfucker right here, man. If you thought my lisp was bad and you like Cody's lisp is bad, we ain't got shit on Hager. Okay, Hager is, he is all over. We beat up pro wrestlers. We beat up pro wrestlers. I couldn't spit more if I wanted to. I couldn't spit more if I tried. This guy needs to be, the microphone needs a restraining order against Jake Hager. He needs to be like, you have to stay 400 feet away from every microphone. I don't want him near a stereo, a radio, or any kind of recording device. He's like a spy or some shit. Like, we have to put him on some type of ankle bracelet where anytime he goes anywhere near anything that records something, he gets a shock in the leg. Nobody ever wants to hear this fucking guy talk, ever. Unless he's going to voice over Daffy Duck in a new Looney Tunes cartoon. Other than that, this guy needs to go away. So that's the Jericho Appreciation Society. He's a sports entertainer, and he says his closing line is, "This is the Chris Jericho Society, and that's entertainment." I wasn't feeling the finish. That was kind of whack. I think he should say, "And that's good shit, pal." Like, that would be we see what you're doing. We know what you're doing. Just go that route, dog. Just say, "That's good shit, pal." That's your finish for the Jericho Appreciation Society. You're all sports entertainers, which is absolutely silly. It works for the AEW crowd. It works, because they hate that term, sports entertainer. But it's good. This is good heel stuff. Now, I don't like this group. This group is a menagerie of losers and bums. Daniel Garcia, I don't think you'll ever see anything out of this kid. He's a young dude. I'm willing to give him a chance, but like Wheeler Yuta, I just don't see it. Unless this guy is the best, most funniest prankster, most swaggery, kid in the backstage area, and they're hoping that he can fall into that on TV. I don't see why they keep him around, other than he's just a technical mechanic guy. And they hope that 2.0, who has a little bit of charisma and good verbal skills, and Jericho can cover up for him. But I don't see it. Guys like Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta just don't have any personality. They just don't have it. But they're going to keep trying, and God bless them for it. But I don't mind the Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm not thrilled by the whole sports entertainer thing. It's too inside baseball, WWE, all that shit, which, but it is what it is. Jericho calling himself the influencer, the big one. He's got 100 million nicknames every time. People thinking that he's reinventing himself again, this Jericho. And to a degree, he kind of is. At the same time, though, he's just basically doing the inner circle all over again. Just with different guys. And a slightly different group. I would think that he has to dress a little bit louder. Maybe more colorful. Like, I know he's wearing like a purple jacket and purple boots today on this show. But I'm thinking he probably needs to come out there almost like Randy Savage or John Cena or something like that to really drive it home. Like, if your gimmick is going to be, I'm a WWE styled star, which is, something he can reasonably pull off, and that's something that could get tremendous heat in AEW. And it's going to be great to have the sports entertainers, the Jericho's group, against the gritty street pro wrestlers of Kingston and Santana and Ortiz. That's going to be nice. And, there's always good stories to be told when you have the heels and the baby faces are diametrically opposed to one another. When you have a story where the heels and the baby faces are diametrically opposed, like, there's different philosophies there. And definitely Eddie Kingston's going to be like, I ain't no sports entertainer. I don't know nothing about no sports. I never played any. I played stickball in these streets, man. Or some shit. He's about to come out there talking about guns and razor blades under his tongue or some shit. How he used to play football with a milk carton or something crazy like that. That's what he's going to come out there with. And Jericho's going to be talking about big money, millionaires, main events, yada, 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 not being a 40-year-old rookie, that kind of shit. It ought to be fun. I'm willing to give it some time, but looking at this group, I have zero interest in anybody outside of Jericho. Outside of what Jericho is doing and what he's going to say, I couldn't give a fuck less about Daffy Hager. I don't give a shit about 2.0 or whatever they're calling themselves. And Daniel Garcia is on thin ice with me. If he wasn't so young, I probably would already be like, nah, I'm done. But he's only 22. I can't give up on him. He's only like 22 or something like that. So I'm just kind of like, he's there. He's a booger in Jericho's nose at this point. Something's got to happen. Something's got to shake. And bless Jericho for trying to get these guys over. He's gonna keep trying with Jake Hager until he gets there. Jake Hager is gonna end up being the Memphis Bleak of pro wrestling. He's going to hang around Jericho and he's going to be one hit away his whole career. He's just going to be there the whole time. Not really adding anything, but present. You don't add shit. He's just present. Whatever. So we got a Deeb Hikaru Shida vignette where Deeb says that she's flattered that Hikaru Shida was thinking about her the whole time she was gone, but she hasn't been thinking about Shida at all. And if she thinks what she did to her last time was bad, wait till she does to her this time. Oh boy. Shida and Deeb are very interesting, but it feels like this feud has been going on forever. And it's about time for them to up the stakes, for what they're doing to matter at some point. And it doesn't feel like it matters yet. Alright, so let's talk about Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky. It went the way everybody said it was going to go. I admit I was wrong. At the same time, what I said should have been what they did. But whatever. For those of you who may be new, what I said was that Wardlow should powerbomb this guy 100 times and pin him, win the title, and then MJF should take the belt from him. I mean, that's what they should have done. What they did do is what everybody else said that they should do, which is that Scorpio Sky wins because MJF interferes. This match actually went on a little too long as far as what they were planning to do. But Wardlow was outside the ring at one point, and he was trying to impress Paige Van Zant, and he was doing his little peck dance. And then her husband got in the way and kind of stared Wardlow down and then started making out with her. And I'm just kind of like, okay. Why is he involved in this? Why is Wardlow involved in this? Like, this is stretching the match out. Like, this is completely unnecessary. At one point, Wardlow begins the powerbomb symphony. He gets up to 3 before Lambert distracts the ref. Then Scorpio Sky kind of rolls outside the ring, and he's going to get powerbombed outside. And then here comes Shawn Spears walking down the ramp very slowly, distracting everybody. I'm surprised anybody cares about Shawn Spears. I certainly don't. In any event, Wardlow kind of lets Scorpio Sky escape. Then he's kind of walking away from Shawn Spears. He kind of goes in the other direction. He tries to be a smart babyface by, not turning his back on Shawn Spears. So he walks from where the ramp is around to the other side where the hard cam is. Then MJF comes out of nowhere and shoves him into the ring post. And he bangs his head against the ring post. He staggers into the ring because he's kind of, oh, the ring post, oh, my brain. And then he gets rolled up and pinned by Scorpio Sky. So they broke Wardlow's winning streak by having him get pinned by Scorpio Sky in a fluke fashion. Yikes. Whole bowl of yikes. Then Paige Van Zant and her husband jumped on Wardlow. They beat him up. They spent the next 3 minutes or whatever with MJF taking cheap shots and Shawn Spears taking cheap shots and them just beating the tar out of Wardlow. Then Wardlow started making his own comeback. Now, I like the announcing team, Jim Ross, and I believe it was Tony Schiavone. And they were saying that Wardlow has spent all this time working for MJF. He doesn't have a friend in the back. Nobody's going to come and help him. Of course, CM Punk should have come and helped him, considering CM Punk kind of started this whole, he put his foot on the gas of this whole thing. He should have come out and helped. But the story made sense. You know, Wardlow was an absolute bastard when he was a heel. So now he has to suffer for it. He has no friends. So getting beaten up is his own, his own doing, his own suffering. Nobody is going to come help him. But then I like that he made his own comeback, because it makes people believe in you more when you make your own comeback. And Wardlow's big enough and believable enough. And these guys are smaller, MJF and Shawn Spears and Scorpio Sky. These guys are kind of small, so you can do that. So he's starting his own comeback. Then they jump him again, beat him down some more. MJF pays off Dan Lambert. I don't know why. I don't know why he's paying Dan Lambert. The MMA fighters didn't do anything. Not seriously anyway. Then they continued to pummel Wardlow, and that was kind of it. They just kind of left him laying. They rang the bell a little bit, I guess. That'll make Jim Cornette happy. Somebody rang the bell to let you know that this wasn't supposed to be going on. It's like, yeah, but nobody else did anything. There was no referees, no, officials. There were no other wrestlers, nothing. They just watched. Everybody just watched Wardlow get beat down. Wardlow suffers from dumb babyface syndrome, which is a classic WWE thing. It's not really a WWE thing, but you can tell when people explain it. It's when a babyface is easily distracted when they have something clearly in hand. It's one thing to create a distraction. It's another thing for the babyface to be distracted about, especially about things that are not a direct threat. Like Shawn Spears is far enough away that Wardlow shouldn't have been too concerned about him. So him being, distracted by Shawn Spears, especially for as long as he was distracted, to allow Scorpio Sky to get away, that was dumb babyface syndrome right there. That was just plain stupid. But, it works. People always overlook it. You have to be nitpicking in order to see it. So because even there's tons of dumb babyface stuff, and it happens all the time, especially when there's going to be an almighty roll up finish. The almighty roll up, when that is about to happen, it almost always is dumb babyface syndrome. Dumb babyface has the match won. Heel goes peekaboo, and babyface is staring and never looks back the other way and gets rolled up. Basically, they did an elaborate version of that here. Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling was there. Jade Cargill continues to be frustrated. Where's her next opponent? Now, maybe I should have put this in the news and notes, but she was challenged to a match by Athena, a.k.a. Ember Moon. And I thought she was going to show up. Maybe they'll save that. So there's no doubt that she's coming in, and that's really what it's going to be, So I guess we're just building up to it. She's going to keep beating these pretty rando chicks on AEW, where she's probably going to pin Kylan King or some shit next. And eventually Athena's going to come out there and challenge her to a match. And, she'll probably win the match anyway, but it'll be interesting. I thought that's where we were going with this. Otherwise, why does she make a direct challenge on Twitter? But, indie wrestlers are always shooting their own shot. They do it literally all the time, which is very interesting marketing for indie wrestlers. They always shoot their shot on the online. I challenge you to a match. Now you got to tell your boss to give me a paycheck. You know, the Briscoes been doing that to FTR. Been doing that shit for like 3 months. Warhorse did it to Cody. You know, they try to get these paychecks by saying, yes, I challenge you. It's an open challenge. I accept. It's like, you're not an option, ma'am. But there's no doubt in my mind that she's coming in eventually. I don't know what's taking so long. I guess they're trying to wait for a spot, but whatever. All right, so the Hardy Boys, they wrestled Private Party on this show. This was actually a kind of fun match. It was a traditional tag team match. It was less stupid than usual Private Party matches. So I actually didn't mind this. The Hardys, you know, Matt played the babyface in peril. You know, the crowd rocked with Jeff. They were rocking with Jeff from the beginning. Jeff is just like the most over dude on planet Earth at this point. And, I mean, he's Jeff Hardy. He's been getting these pops since 2002. You've been getting these pops since like 99 or 2000. You know Jeff Hardy. You know what you're going to get when you got Jeff Hardy's there. And I'm glad seeing him have fun, even though I don't give a shit about Matt. Even though I don't give a shit about this nostalgia run of the Hardy Boys. I'm glad that they still physically can do it, or at least as much as possible. And I'm all for it, man. This was not bad. I didn't hate this. So the Swanton Bomb ends the match. Then we got the Andrade's theme starts to play, and I love Andrade's theme. I don't know if I told anybody that. I love Andrade's theme. It's fantastic. You know, it fits him to a T. So the AFO now is called the Andrade Family Office. With the Butcher and the Blade, they come to the ring and they're taking their stuff off very slowly. And along with Private Party, they outnumber the Hardys and they're going to beat them up. And here comes Darby Allin and Sting! It's Sting! And Sting, of course, got a baseball bat. And Darby Allin's with his trusty skateboard, looking like the middle schooler hanging out at the mall with his parents. So after they stared down Andrade and the Andrade Family Office, those guys got out of there. They kicked rocks. They left. All right. The Hardys being tied up with Andrade Family Office is shit, but whatever. You know, it is what it is. Good on Private Party for getting the rub. Congratulations, guys. Everybody's been coming out there giving them guys the rub. You know, but unfortunately, they're not going anywhere. And they're not going anywhere fast. That's just it. All right, so the main event of the evening features Thunder Rosa winning the AEW Women's Championship in a match against Britt Baker where there was blood and thumbtacks and stacks of chairs. It was an absolutely... it's hard to say. Because, you know, the match was, I don't even want to say it was fine, because it was less than fine. But I did like the story elements. Let's put it like that. Thunder Rosa got the Big Heroes entrance with the mariachi band. She comes out in full face paint. They tell us, and this was very good, very smart on AEW's behalf, they showed us that their Lights Out match was actually at St. Patrick's Day Slam last year. So it's the 1 year anniversary of their biggest match to this point. So it showed you that this is what these girls have done at this time last year, at this event. So it made sense that they waited to put the belt on Thunder Rosa here. Of course, it makes no sense for you to have Thunder Rosa lose at Revolution. She should have wrestled somebody else, or Britt Baker should have wrestled somebody else, and then had Thunder Rosa win the title here. Whatever. This match, the problem with this match, outside of the gigging, which we knew they were going to do, I didn't know they were going to be Dumbtacks. I don't say thumbtacks, they're Dumbtacks. I don't understand why we needed those. Was the amount of time wasted building shit. Now, WWE started this. No, matter of fact, I think the Indies started it. Where guys take forever to stack shit, collect things. It just destroys the flow of the match. You know, I hate when people start playing Bob the Builder. And there was a point in this match where Britt Baker starts playing Bob the Builder, and it just allows Thunder Rosa to just lay on the turnbuckle, and she's just laying up there, laying and just waiting and waiting for Britt Baker to get done stacking these goddamn chairs. Then, and the spot was for her to kick her off the top rope through the chairs. She kicked her off the top rope. Britt Baker landed on the first chair, and the tower tipped over. It didn't get the big loud crash that she was looking for. It was like boop, and then shoot, and that was it. You were looking. No, you didn't get that. So whatever. There was a ref bump in this match, which is probably one of the few ref bumps that AEW has ever done. This was Britt Baker super kicking the referee. It was a complete and total mistake. Thunder Rosa hits the Thunder Driver with no referee. Then the referee is still down when Britt Baker uses a stack of chairs to do the air raid crash from the second rope. There's still no referee. Then Horseface, Bojack referee, comes to the ring and counts the 2 count. Thunder Rosa was bleeding. Britt Baker was bleeding like 90 seconds into the match. She was bleeding. So of course they were gonna gig. Of course they were. They tried the spot where the lockjaw, where it took forever for Britt Baker to put her glove on. Then she puts the glove on and puts her fingers into Thunder Rosa's mouth, but Thunder Rosa starts to bite her. And it's like she's wearing gloves. She's wearing a glove. Then she switches the arms, and Thunder Rosa takes her hand and starts slamming her hand into the thumbtacks. So, oh no, my hand, the thumbtacks in my hand. And she lets the hold go as she's selling. And then she gets scooped and kind of Michinoku driver, or they call it the Thunder Driver, into the stack of thumbtacks and counts the 3. And Thunder Rosa wins. Right decision, that's for sure. Thunder Rosa was the right one to win the title from Britt Baker. At the same time, I just don't understand why she lost 2 weeks ago. It just seems to make no sense. And this match, it's difficult to quantify the match, considering all the dumb shit they did the previous year. And it seemed like they were just trying to do the same match they did last year. Just do it again in a cage for the title, you know. And this felt like a main event. Like they did a good job of really building the intensity. They did a good job of making it feel like a big match with the mariachi band and the big heroes welcome for Thunder Rosa. The crowd was live for it, but you still had those lulls where she's waiting for stuff to get built. And, you know, they're trying really hard to get the blood element in. And they're building too much. And then the ref bump spot, I think, was probably a little bit too much too. But it was overall fine, I guess. It was fine. The crowd popped huge on the win. You know, even though everybody knew Thunder Rosa was going to win. Sure, let's go with it. You know, let's go with it. As long as Britt doesn't have the belt anymore, I think most people are happy. It's just, they didn't even attempt to do interference here, which I thought was very weird. And the steel cage was basically a Hell in a Cell, so they can get out, and there was space in between the ring apron and the cage for them to do stuff and get chairs and, you know, do everything. So it was an interesting concept. It was an interesting thing, but they overbooked it. And, you know, they tried too much to top and do similar stuff that they did the previous year. And they think that's what this feud has to be. Both two people gigging, rolling around in thumbtacks, hitting each other with chairs, and not necessarily. You know, it didn't necessarily need to be this. But it was what it was. I'm not gonna shit on it too much. Now, you probably thought that I didn't see the Britt Baker 316 shirt. You're wrong, buddy. I saw it. And it is super duper cringe. I wanted to wait till right here to talk about it. It's cringe. If you haven't seen it, it's DMD 316 cage match. 316-22 cage match. And people absolutely ripped AEW for this. Because 316 is Austin 316. It's 316 day. It's a wrestling holiday. And they decided they were going to try to ride that wave by putting out a Britt Baker 316 shirt. Now it does say 316-22, so for March 16, 22. But it's cringe, dog. Why would you do this? It's just one of those things where sometimes the WWE references are just so unnecessary, and it seems like they come out of left field, and it's really weird stuff. Now a lot of people did get ripped them for this, good on their behalf for telling them to stop, riding penises and come up with their own thing. I'm kind of over the numbers anyway. Anybody doing Owens 316 and Owen 316 and Jake Roberts 316, it's like, oh, come on, I'm sick of this shit. It's Austin 316. We get it. Can we just leave it there? So Britt Baker was cringe, and she lost the title. It was a bad day for the girl. So, overall, the show wasn't awful. I could appreciate certain elements of it. The matches were too long, as usual. I'm not feeling what they're doing with Keith Lee. So a lot of the guys they just signed are still not doing anything. Malachi Black, he wasn't on this show at all. Miro, haven't even heard his name in forever. It's just CM Punk wasn't on this show. I think this is the second week in a row he wasn't on the show. So I don't know. I'm interested in what they're doing with Danielson and Moxley and where that is going. Like, what's the goal there? Is the goal to become the tag team champions? Is the goal to go around beating up guys and recruiting them like a RPG or something like that, like Final Fantasy or something? Like, if I beat your ass, you got to join my party. Like, I don't know. But we'll have to see. And AEW just kind of exists. I was yawning during the cage match, but that was due to the amount of time it took for them to set up spots. And there was actually one of the things I forgot to mention this, that Britt Baker actually slipped on a thumbtack in that match. I just thought about it right now. She was, I think, about to be powerbombed in the thumbtacks, and she actually slipped first. And I was like, oh my God. Like, with the injuries and everything that's going on in wrestling today, I'm just like, you know what, we didn't need this. We really didn't need this. But thankfully she caught her footing, and Thunder Rosa was smart enough to wait for her to set her feet. Because it definitely was not going to look good if she tried to pick her up while she couldn't plant her feet. So, anyway, we're out of here. Let me know what you guys think about AEW Dynamite. It was a mediocre show. I wasn't super excited about anything. But let me know what you guys think. I'm interested. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.